Elaborated much during my budget speech. It was for the agriculture sector, it was for farmers' welfare, it was for modernizing agriculture, it was making sure that agriculture in India gets a prominence. Now, in response to the questions which have been asked by some of the members, I'd like to just sort of put that record straight. Of course, every ministry comes up with an annual report from their ministry's side to explain what exactly they have done over the year or several years. In the budget, of course, we come up with some mentions of each of the ministries. Therefore, on the agricultural subject of agriculture, understanding that there is definitely a lot of challenges in the agrarian sector, not forgetting that legacy of the past are not something that has arisen during the period of 2014-19 alone. We are looking at a comprehensive solution for agriculture-related matters. It's our government that has very early, even after taking over the responsibility in 2014, realized that the agriculture sector needs huge transformational steps. It is in this context that the Prime Minister had committed to doubling of farmers' income by 2022, and our government has developed a strategy for doubling farmers' income based on the recommendations of the Committee on Doubling Farmers' Income. So it's not as if we've just come up with a couple of schemes. This is clearly based on the recommendations given by the Committee on Doubling of Farmers' Income. And thanks to our policy, let me put some data on record. The country now produces food grains totaling 289 million tons. Horticultural export is 385 MTs, and 180 metric tons of milk is now being produced. And you know, often in this house during the question hour, several members have asked the concerned ministers, and they have said how India tops on the chart of production of vegetables, fruits, milk, and so many other agricultural products. The Universal Soil Health Card Scheme enhanced intensified coverage under the micro-irrigation, particularly when we have a water problem all over the country. Micro-irrigation is the way to go. Neem-coated urea have been promoted, and providing easy access to all the farmers for fertilizers has reduced the cost of cultivation. Again, something which has been repeated all the while. After 2014, we have never seen queues of farmers waiting for fertilizer. There has been no lathi charge when farmers were waiting to collect their fertilizer. Earlier the history was when farmers went for their fertilizers, they were beaten, they were thrashed, and therefore I like to say that our measures have made a difference to the farmers. Sir, our new policy on the MSP, on the MSP, where under minimum 50% is added to the margin of profit on the cost of cultivation. This is something which will be of great interest to all the members of Parliament who are here today. We've often heard discussions on Swaminathan Committee. I'll come to that in a minute. With the adoption of this new MSP policy in 2018, all the commodities, I underline, all the commodities for which MSP is notified have seen a big jump in the MSPs. Every item. Earlier, we have heard only wheat and rice. There are 22 or 24 such items which are mentioned in the MSP list. We've never heard of any of them before 2014 being getting MSP. Whereas now, 2014 onwards, you have for every one of the 22 items listed, MSP being provided, MSP being given, and procurements happening on the ground. Market reforms have been our policy's cornerstone. Market reforms have been our policy's cornerstone. Some of the initiatives included building a national agricultural market through e-NAM, a new market architecture consisting of GRAMs, that is, competitive wholesale markets, and agri-exports. The total in 2018 budget, we have provided for a non-budgetary corpus fund of 2,000 crores to supplement the budgetary allocations and accelerate the pace of coverage under the e-NAM and the GRAM. Ministry of Commerce has also adopted an agri-export policy with targeting to double the agri-exports by 2022. So not just the farmers' income, but also agri-export shall double by 2022 because of our policy. So if all these are reforms for agriculture, we have not forgotten the welfare measures, the measures that we need to take for the sake of the farmers. We have rolled out the PM Kisan, under which 6,000 rupees annually is transferred to every farmer, irrespective of the size of holding. This historic step, costing 87,000 crores in a year, has been enabled by this government. Everybody who talks about farmers' welfare, please note, we have not just spoken about it, we have acted on it. And this is the kind of budget that is being given for farmers' welfare. We are now working on a pension scheme for all farmers called, under the scheme called Pradhan Mantri Man Samman Yojana. And again, just to make sure that greater focus is given on risk management through crop insurance scheme, that's also being accelerated. I mentioned earlier, Speaker Sir, the National Farmers Commission, what is otherwise popularly known as Swaminathan Commission. It is our government that took it seriously and started implementing the recommendations since 2014. Of the 272 recommendations, some of the recommendations have been already implemented. The most important recommendation relates to giving the farmers 50% of the cost of production as profit margin. It is our government, again, it is our government that took the historic decision of providing a minimum of 50% as the margin of profit on the cost of production in the year 2018. So that is very important to notice that in agriculture, sir, not just one mention or one paragraph, but several instances of where the government has reached out and will reach out further for the farmers. MSPs are notified annually for Kharif and Rabi crops. Accordingly, MSPs have been notified regularly, including for Kharif 2019, which is already done. So I want also to draw your attention very quickly on the zero budget farming, on which a lot of work has started. Greater details will be shared with the respectful members of Parliament. Sir, I shall get into the details of crop insurance, but keeping the time in mind, and because I have a few more other things on agriculture, I want to draw your attention saying 5.61 crore farmers have been covered under the insurance schemes between 2018 and 19 over an area of about 30% of the gross cropped area. And we are taking steps to use spatial technology, smartphones, rationalize the number of crop cutting experiments, and ensure that it is conducted in the presence of all concerned stakeholders, who are farmers, insurance agencies, the state government representatives, and the local elected representatives. All can be there when the stakeholders are invited to talk on these things. We're also planning to make the whole thing voluntary, so that farmers willing to pay the premium will alone be covered under the scheme. So, on farmers, let me assure that the members' concern is well addressed, and the budget did speak quite a lot about it.